What's up guys, welcome back to another Convicted Llama video. Today I'm going to be discussing whether Hypixel should continue with dungeons or not. So if you don't know, in Hypixel Skyblock you have a mode called Dungeons. Now this is basically like a separate game mode inside of a game mode, where you'll go through different rooms trying to kill mobs that are really strong, and then you come to a boss and kill him for good loot. And then you pick between 4 different chests basically. And then, so basically, my opinion on Dungeons currently is that you've got a lot of people who want to play it, but some who obviously can't because they don't have good enough gear, which I find to be a bit strange. Because I think there should be ways to play Dungeons without like really good gear. Now, I recently purchased some strong dragon armor. Like, I'm not very good at Skyblock. I only farm cocoa beans basically. So I got strong dragon armor, and that means I can do about 17k damage with my aspect of the end, which is pretty respectable, and I can only do up to floor 2 or 3, which I found a bit strange, because it's like how a player is meant to progress in dungeons without millions and millions of coins. Now, I've heard people talk about, say, dungeons items are always way too overinflated. So you had the Bonzo staff. It was about 30 million when it was before some of the recent floors came out, and then it's now at about 5 million, which is not very much. It's depreciated a lot. So people are losing a lot of money, a lot of coins from this, and I don't know why it happens. I guess it's just over hype around these items. When they come out, then the hype dies down and they lose price. But yeah, Dungeons is a bit of a confusing place. I actually played it a bit more recently. Eventually there will be some Dungeons footage in the background. I'm playing a bit more. It's pretty good. I'm going to give some pros of them continuing. So it helps develop more tools for other updates. So if you don't know, to make Dungeons they had to create like a whole new sort of game engine for it, to make all the mob AI work. Like a Lost Adventurer, that would be really hard to make, because it's basically like a player / armor stand of some kind. I'm not sure how it works. But yeah, that's really cool. So that should help them with other updates in the future, which should be really good. It gives lots of. It's an easy update. Say releasing a new floor of Dungeons is a lot easier than releasing a whole new island, I'd say, because you only need to barely change the boss fight and add health to the mobs, maybe a new mob maybe, or something like that. So it gives short-term content. Now, I can see why that's appealing to some people, but for YouTubers, for people trying to make content on it, it's very difficult to survive off of short-term content. So that's a bit of an annoying thing. It adds more gear to the power curve. Now, before Dungeons, probably the best armor set was maybe Superior, I'm not sure, probably something like that. But now there is things like the Shadow Assassin gear, and that, I don't know what the chest plate is called, it's the golden one, which adds up to be much better than Superior, which is really cool, and that makes inflated items like Superior go down in value, which is great. And I think honestly the floors get better the more they add, because floor 1, 2 and 3 aren't that good, but if you look at floor 4, 5 and 6, they're very good. So I think it's positive for where they're going right now. But yeah, so let me give some cons. So people who don't play Dungeons, which is quite a lot of Skyblock's community, I'd say it's about 50-50 at the moment, honestly. It doesn't give anything to them, which is disappointing, because there hasn't been an actual update. There's been the Mayor update, but no major island since the park, I think. I'm not sure, yeah. And then you had the End update as well. That was great for Skyblock. So if you look at the best updates, it's always been the island ones, and not these large combat. I think Dungeons is a waste of time. It should have been its own game mode, not inside of Skyblock, I reckon. But to make it popular, they had to link it to a currency, like an economy system, which it's alright. I don't know. I don't really know what my opinion is on it currently. It's just there. And it's alright. Yeah, so anybody who's new as well on the game, they can't really just go straight into Dungeons. You need at least a dragon armor of some sort, or something like that, a dungeon set at least, which you can't really go into the entrance of Dungeons without at least like 2 to 3 million coins worth of gear, which is a bit difficult to get for new players, which is why I think dungeons kind of failed, because there's no easy like power curve to go up. You can't go from the bottom to the top very easily. So it could be also, I was thinking, it could use up some of the development team from Hytale, so that will slow down the release date. Now obviously they're backed by Riot Games now, I discussed this in my other video. So hopefully it'll be coming out in 2021, but hopefully that's towards the start of it and not really far into it. But yeah, so it uses up developers, but I don't think those developers would be able to help much with Hytale, so I think it's kind of a decent trade-off. It will eventually just be the same thing over and over again, honestly, because there's only so many different bosses you can add before it just gets old, because the actual rooms aren't changing that much. There's new puzzles, but that's about it, so yeah. So updates to the actual game bring more players back to Skyblock, if I'm honest, because if you think about it, the best armor set in the game before the end update was freaking Hardened Diamond, which is, nobody uses that anymore. So yeah, I'd say new updates bring more people back. Like the park was great, it added quests, it added like long-term quests for talismans, and that was really good for the game. So what I think they should do next, now this is going to be quite a long one. Now I'd suggest you keep going with dungeons for a bit and see where it goes, see if people are liking what you're doing, and I'd say make it easier to access for early game players. Now also I'd say, because they keep making the floors better as they go, so I reckon you can keep going with dungeons for like I'd say 2 or 3 months more. Then, because if you see in the Dungeons hub, there's actually 3 dungeons that they had planned, I'm pretty sure. So you have the Catacombs and then 2 others, but on the other ones it says not coming soon, so I assume they're not going to do it, because Hytale will be out by the time they can develop those, which is a bit, I don't know, it's alright, I don't really care about dungeons at that point, because I'd rather be playing Hytale. So I think new islands are the most important thing currently, but they don't seem to want to do that for whatever reason. Like, surely it can't be that. I think the build team is actually not doing that much, because they could whip up an island pretty quickly. It's not really the building that's the problem. It's sort of coming up with a good idea. Now, I saw somebody had the idea of a far end island. Now, this is interesting, because you think you can't have shulkers or elytras or anything like that, because you're on I think the server runs on 1.7, so you can't actually get those things. But apparently there's an interesting way they can do it with plugins and try and get those items, which is a bit strange. So yeah, you could do that. You could do a new island completely, just like a new collection. I'd say a fishing island would be quite cool. Even though I hate fishing in general, I think there should be a custom fishing interface or whatever. And you go to a new island that's like a big lake and big like ocean, and you can go there and get tons of fish and have lots of different fishing spots and stuff. I think that'd be really cool, because right now you haven't got much. You've got like the river in the park, you've got the lake in the hub, there's a few other spots as well, like ice fishing as well. And obviously you've just got to get to Hytale. That's the phrase everybody's been using. You've just got to make enough content to survive till your game comes out in 2021, which is a bit annoying that your game is pretty much dying and you're trying to keep it going until you can release this better game, which hopefully will do well. I'm really hoping that is the case. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say. I'm just going to add some final notes. I said my opinion on dungeons currently, like, it's all my opinion, so hopefully you don't get annoyed at what I've said. I don't really know much about dungeons. I've only played the first 3 floors. So yeah, I hope you did enjoy. One more thing. If you added a new island, now you've got to be careful of the items you add, because a lot of items tend to break the economy and cause some strange things to happen in the Skyblock economy. So I managed to pick up my strong armor for 1.5 mil off the auction house, which I thought was a great deal. It goes for like 2 mil normally. I got some good deals on it, and that's ridiculous if you think about it. The amount, like, you can spend so many more coins on like these weapons, and you can just get a strong dragon set for 2 million coins because the people who are farming dragons for superior armor are just going to sell them for cheap, aren't they? So yeah, that works out. Well, it doesn't. It works out for it doesn't. It kind of disrupts the early game, mid game, end game, and the early game doesn't really exist anymore. And the mid game is too easy to pass, and there's nothing to do in the end game, which is a bit strange. But yeah, hope you guys did enjoy. This is my opinion on pretty much most things dungeons at the moment. That's just an update on my opinion at the moment. So yeah, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more of Convicted Llama. Alright, I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.